So a few days ago, I participated in the 2023 GMTK Game Jam, where you have 48 hours to create a game within a specific theme. So welcome to my Game Jam experience. So let me set the scene for you, right? Let me set the scene for you. Day 1, I'm working on my main game project, Project Scroll, the one I'll be posting devlogs for, right? And then for some reason I had the urge to go onto YouTube. I'm scrolling around, right? And I see it. GMTK uploaded a new video. And it was the video to reveal the theme of the jam. And I look down. And I see that I was 6 hours behind. I was panicking. I realized that trouble was coming my way. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I collected my thoughts and I said, I'm going to clutch this up. I'm going to drive through it. I'm going to somehow figure this out, right? So I go into the video, look at the theme, and I see that the theme is roles reversed. Now, not a lot of things came to my head and came to my mind for what would even suit this theme or what type of a game that I was making. So it took me a while to come up with my first idea, and my first idea was a game where you work in some kind of film studio. However, all the actors and directors, all of their roles were messed up and reversed, and it was your job to give them the correct roles, maybe by talking to them or just looking around, almost like a detective game kind of. And your job was just trying to figure out what role they should have had. I also asked some of my siblings for some ideas, and I asked my brother first. He had nothing. He didn't really have any ideas. So I went on to ask my other brother, and he suggested a game where you play as a boss and you have to find a way to try beat the main good idea character, which isn't a bad idea. It's actually a pretty decent idea, but it was probably a bit overused. So I moved on to my sister, and she had a bunch of good ideas that I could have used. Probably because the type of games that she plays is completely different to the type of games that me and my brothers would play. But I have no idea if that's really the case or not. Anyway, some of the ideas that she gave me, one of them was like a Sims city building type game, civilization type game, where instead of you telling them what to do and you making the houses, the people within the city tell you what to do, and it's kind of like you're the person, or you're the people in the city, and you're getting controlled by the person above. Another idea she gave me was a game where you work in a company, and instead of trying to build this company up, you have to destroy it and make it the worst possible company as possible. Maybe it's like, oh, you're working Coke, but you have to try and make it sell as little stuff as possible. Terrible marketing campaigns, all that. The second last idea she gave me was a fighting game, but instead of you trying to damage your opponent, you have to damage yourself in order, or heal your opponent in order to win the fight. Now, this wasn't a bad idea. I thought it was a great idea. However, I think I've seen it done before in another one of the GMTK game jams. So ultimately I said, no, we can't really do that one. The last idea she had was a dating simulator, where instead of trying to have a great date and trying to get with the girl, you tried to have the worst days possible and tried to get the girl to hate you and storm out on you during the date, which I thought was a pretty good idea. The last idea was the idea that I came up with, or was another idea that I came up with, was a game where you play as a robber in a bank heist, but instead of trying to steal money, you're returning the money that you stole probably a long time ago out of sorrow or something. I eventually cut it down to 3 games and 3 games only. I cut out the game where you had to build up the company because I felt like that could potentially take too long for me to make. I also cut out the Sims one because I felt like that was a very hard and complex game and that I just wouldn't have enough time to make that game. And I also cut out the acting game too, the acting game that I came up with, because it seemed a bit hard and complex and it might take me a while to make, and I wouldn't be able to complete it within the time I had left. So it ended up coming down to just 3 games and 3 games only, which was the boss game my brother came up with, the dating sim that my sister came up with, and the heist returning Robin game that I came up with. I ended up cutting out the boss game because I felt like it was very simple and it was probably going to be done by a lot of other people that'd be participating and entering in the jam, which left us with 2 contenders: the dating sim or the returning bank heist. I ended up selling on one of them, and the game that I sold on was the dating sim. First of all, I thought it was kind of hilarious and that it'd be a very fun and goofy game to make. I also thought it was pretty simple and it'd be a bit easier to make than the bank heist game, since it'd just be mainly like text and just actually just having to write out the things. So on day 1, after I thought of the game idea, I started developing writing down the traits and characteristics of the girls that you'd be talking to and having the date with within the game. Now we move on to the second day, and I woke up, ate some food, and the first thing I did was go back into the game and start working away. First things first, I had to make a dialogue system. Now, I wasn't sure how I was going to go about doing this. If I was to make my own dialogue system, it'd probably take me a while, but it would be possible. However, I was going to look for better alternatives than making my own, because I feel like if I was to look up any other possible like resources online, it'd probably not only be easier to make, but I could make more, and it could also potentially look nicer and just be more smooth in general. Now, it took me a while to find something. I saw a bunch of different stuff, and I was contemplating on whether, man, should I just make my own one or should I just keep looking? But I kept looking and I kept looking, and eventually I found something. Now, this something is a little thing I like to call fungus. I saw it on the internet and I downloaded it. Super easy to use, super simple, and it worked perfectly for what I was doing. It was so easy to use that I had all the dialogue and more written in that one day. It was an incredible thing to use and work with, and it made my job way more easier. I'm not really sure what I would have done without it. I'm thinking of even using it in my main game, because the whatever little dialogue I have in that game, I think it could be written or used with fungus, and it'd be made a whole lot easier than the janky stuff I'm using right now. And obviously it's not sponsored or anything, so you should try it out because it worked amazingly for me. Now, on the final day of the jam, I started working on all the art, which included the drawings, the backgrounds, and the music, and the UI elements too. For the characters, I used something called Vroid Studio, which was pretty easy to use and lets you make these animated characters very easily, quickly, and simply. And then I just took pictures of them and poses and stuck them into the game. For backgrounds, I looked up royalty-free backgrounds on Google, and I ended up with this coffee cafe shop background, and I think it looked pretty nice and it worked for what I was doing, so I ended up using that one. For the UI, I went on itch and I found this free UI package which worked great for the aesthetic that I was going for this game, and it had a bunch of different stuff and it looked great too, so yeah. For the music, I was going to use FL Studio and make my own music. But the only thing is that I'm very new to FL Studio, and I only got it just that day during the game jam. So I was going to try learn it during the jam and use the music that I make and stick it into the game and upload it. The only thing is that I couldn't really make good music within that short amount of time. So I ended up just going online, taking something from there and sticking it into the game. It may not match perfectly, but it worked out at the end of the day. So now all I have to do is just stick everything together and upload it. I compiled the game with an hour remaining, and I did have some problems at first, but it was sorted relatively easily. And I uploaded the game, and everything worked out pretty well. So now all I'm doing is just waiting for the results. I'm going to be trying out some of the games that I see on the front page. So if you competed and you finished your game, I hope that I play your game. And the best of luck to you all that has competed. Good luck to all of you. Peace.